What is up, fellas? Welcome to a new series that I will be doing here, kind of throughout the year. Here and there. If I find I want to do another tier list, I will go ahead and make one because I am full on selling out, baby. Low effort content, minimal editing. Let's fucking get it, boys. We're doing tier lists. um, yeah, I mean, I was like, hey, what else, can I do for content? And that's, not going to take me much effort because I am a busy man. And I'm like, hey, Legend does some tier lists. Those seem pretty easy to do. I just kind of record, go off riff, and just full send it. So let's see how this goes. Let me know if you guys want more tier lists and more of this type of shitty content in the comments, of course. But yeah, as the title has mentioned, we are going to be doing a tier list for what I think is the easiest and then the hardest, kind of ranking them based off of difficulty, with factions on very hard difficulty single player campaigns. I have not really played this game on any other difficulty except very hard for like, it's been probably 10 years. So very hard is like all I know. So, take that into account here when you comment your bullshit opinion that this is on very hard difficulty. If you don't play on very hard, then hey, your opinion is automatically invalid. But yeah, so basically this is going to be for like the normal player, right? Maybe you just started playing very hard, you played a couple factions, and you're starting off with this faction. You're like, hey, like, how difficult is this faction going to be on very hard difficulty, right? It's going to be based off a number of different factors here. Of course, starting position, how economically, rich they are to start off, like their unit roster, of course, and their buildings, right? Because those kind of go hand in hand too. They're very much related. Certain buildings will get certain units for certain factions at certain times, right? And when we talk about single player difficulty on the campaign, it's just really about the early game, right? By the time you get to the mid game, you pretty much already won. It's just a matter of pacing and how quickly you can kind of get the factions before they kind of bust out like their big units that they always recruit, right? So middle game can be important in terms of like your speed and how fast you conquer the world, but at that point, we're really only judging how difficult the early game is, right, with these factions, because the early game is the most important part of the game, right? You need to be aggressive. You can't dick around on very hard difficulty. Otherwise, you will get punished no matter what faction you play, right, at the end of the day. So yeah, let's get into it. S, of course, being the easiest faction. D would be the hardest faction, and we're going to start off with the Romans, folks. The wonderful Julii. That's an easy... Oh, shit. What the fuck? What is up with this list? Holy shit, dude. There we go. Fuck. You guys didn't see that. All right. Yeah, Julii. They're going to be over in A tier. Oh my god, Johnny, you're so fucking trash. You put the Romans on A tier. They're S tier easy. Oh my god. Now, you see, this is the misconception about Rome and very hard difficulty, is in the early game, you have pre-Marian reforms, which means you have stati at militia barracks. And you ask yourself, okay, what's Rome's strength? What makes them a really good faction, right? The answer is their infantry, right? Legionaries are insane. But that's in your middle of the late game. That's not in your early game, which why this is not S tier, right? Julia on very hard difficulty, and this is the Romans in general, on very hard difficulty, kind of get punished the most because their strength lies within their infantry, right? Their hastati is okay in terms of their pillar attack, but the moment you like get in contact with a warband, they're gonna rout instantly. It's insane. It's a trash unit to hold the line. They literally just throw their pillar and they're fucking useless the whole battle, right? You need to rely on your generals and equities, unfortunately, in the early game, and your one unit of Triarii to kind of save you with the certain battles, right? So it's rough goings in the early game. The reason why this is not B tier, because we'll get to a certain Roman faction that's B tier in a bit. The reason it's not B tier is because your starting battles are going to be pretty easy against the Gaul, right? Warband are annoying, but you can tire them out and charge them with equities and Roman generals all the same. It's just going to be time consuming, and for the normal player, it's going to be an adjustment, right? But taking like Patavium, Medilonium, not too difficult. And then you can also, if you really want to, go to Greece and Sicily. I'd recommend it. and get Carthage as well, then you're going to be in a great spot. I've talked about that in my Julii guide, of course. But yeah, Julii, A tier. Fight about it with me all you want. Second up, of course, is our wonderful Roman friends, the Brutii. They are going to be B tier. Just because for the normal player playing on very difficulty, kind of doing this for the first time, this is going to be difficult. They make you go into Greece. In Greece in the early game, they have hoplites. They have levy pikemen, right? This is not an easy faction to go up against the Macedonians in the Greek cities with the Brutii in the early game, right? You're coming into the battle with like Hastati, like I hope you don't have Town Watch, right? And like generals and equities, right? You really just need to utilize your generals and equities against the phalanx and charge in behind, but it's very time consuming and very, very fucking annoying, right? It does take a decent amount of skill to play the Brutii on a very hard difficulty if you want to get a fast-paced game in the early game. You're not really at risk of like, dying per se, but you're going to be at a standstill in Greece if you don't know how to do battles against the AI with phalanx pikemen or levies or hoplites for that matter, right? So that's why they're B tier, not higher up. Again, fight me about it. Everything is fine once you get Marin Reforms, but the game is inconsequential at that point because you already won. By the time you get Marin Reforms, you should have won if you actually are decent at the game. But yeah, Scipii, they're going to go up to A tier here because, again, their starting faction that they fight is Carthage. Julie had the Gauls. Carthage is not that difficult to face on very hard difficulty in the early game. They have one unit of elephants that you got to watch out for, but other than that, I mean, they got Iron infantry, skirmishers galore. Like, it's not going to be too difficult. You do have to take out Syracuse, which does have some hoplites, which is a tricky battle. But if you can navigate that, you're going to be in a great spot going forward. You get really rich settlements, right? You're an economic powerhouse early on, just with the Mediterranean trade that you have with Carthage, Thapsus. You can get Carolus early. You get Sicily. I mean, you can even go to Greece too, right? A lot of potential here. To make a shit ton of money early on the Scipii. That goes for all these factions. All these factions can do it, but the Scipii is the easiest to do that with, right? Which is why I think they're going to be A tier. And again, they're not S tier just because of Hastati. Militia barracks suck, right? Not a good unit, and that's their strength as a faction, right? It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay. Macedon. This is an easy S tier for me. I mean, you're going to see a lot of S tier phalanx factions, right? If you have a phalanx infantryman, like it's just going to be infinitely better than any other faction that has regular infantry, right? It's just king on very high difficulty, right? It's just an amazing hold the line unit. You get archers. You can just put archers behind phalanx pikemen and just have a field day, right? In the early game, it's actually not too difficult. You just tire, the hoplites out with your generals against the Greek cities, and you can get Greece pretty early on. And Greece as well has the richest settlements in the game, right? I mean, it has the statue as well, which is great for public order. You're just going to prosper in the early game. Just be aggressive with this. Attack the Greek cities early, and you can deal with the Romans so easily, guys. Like, on a very difficulty, killing the Romans is not difficult at all. They're just going to have a shit ton of Hastati. They have the Pilla attack. Other than that, though, it's not a good unit. You can just come up with your phalanx and light them up with, your very long spears. So, Macedon, easy S tier for me. Following up on that, right after is going to be Egypt. I mean, you guys just saw me do a live stream on Egypt recently. It's just a crazy good faction. Their starting position is amazing. You have Nile settlements, you have Jerusalem, you have Cyprus. I mean, you're absolutely chilling. You can just attack Seleucid Empire whenever the hell you want to. I would recommend doing it as early as possible because they literally can't defend you. You get Nile Spearmen, which is a phalanx unit at militia barracks, which is crazy good. You really are not going to have any trouble killing the Seleucid Empire at all. And at stables, you get Desert Cav, man. Desert Cav is one of the most underrated units in the game. You can retrain them basically anywhere because they only require stable, right? And they're effective against armor. That's an insane stat. They're effective against armor. So they're just infinitely better. And so versatile, so useful, and they kind of make up for the fact that your generals are not general bodyguards. They're chariot general bodyguards, right? Which is also really good in terms of their synergy, because chariot generals have archers. So you basically have an archer unit in the early game, and you can use your desert cav as your cavalry unit, right? You don't really need general bodyguards because you can just spam desert cav everywhere and just use that as your cav unit. You just have to watch out, for morale, of course, with your desert cav. So make sure that they're not going to just like instantly rout when you charge with them. But other than that, desert cav is such a good unit. It's one of the best cavalry units in the game, just, pound for pound, cost efficiency wise, right? On top of that, you just get bowmen, put them behind your Nile spearmen. I mean, you don't even need desert cav towards the middle game, but I mean, it's a crazy faction. To get archers as your chariot general, right? To get desert cav as your cav unit on the stables, and then you get Nile spearmen on militia barracks, and you just get bowmen at an archery range. I mean, GG's. That's insane. S tier, easily. You're not going to have difficulty in the early game just because you're economically rich. I mean, your buildings are awesome. Yeah. Need I say more about Egypt? It's just crazy good. Seleucid Empire. This is a tough one. Let's just say there's a reason why this faction is always first to die when it gets played by the AI. Just because they get attacked by everyone and they're not in a good position. And their early game units are a bit sketchy. They're pretty similar to Macedon, if not the same. But Macedon can fight the Romans once you take out Greece. So Seleucid Empire is just basically fighting Egypt in the early game, and that's very difficult to do. Just because they have chariot archers, and that just destroys militia hoplites. It destroys militia cav. And you really want to be something like militia cav, right? In the early game with Seleucid Empire. But it's just very difficult to play. You have Greek general bodyguards. It's not fun. It's not fun in the early game here. But you got to be aggressive. You got to attack Egypt early on. You can take Jerusalem pretty easily, as well as I think it's Sidon. But then those Nile settlements are going to be tough to get, right? I'd recommend getting the boat, going on the boat and then going against the Nile. But for your average player that's just trying out this faction for the first time on very high difficulty, you're going to get punished for not knowing what you're doing. And that's why it's C tier, right? The unit roster is insane. Their buildings are crazy good, right? You want to try to get the city barracks as soon as possible in Antioch and just start spamming out phalanx pikemen. You want to get an archer range somewhere very quickly, start spamming archers, right? Because that's the golden combo, as I say multiple times in my channel, right? The golden combo: have a frontline infantry unit, have 8 archers behind it, and you're going to win every single battle, right? I don't care who you're facing. I don't care if you're facing armored hoplites. You're still going to win. Just because 8 archers is crazy good. You can, save ammo, go on the flank, right? There's lots of shit you can do. And as well just have like 3 or 4 general bodyguards in that army too. It doesn't hurt. So, yeah, Seleucid Empire, C tier. I mean, they have cataphracts. Cool. That's elite cav staples, guys. We have to kill Egypt early on here. Like, otherwise, we're going to be fucked. And then by the time we're done with Egypt, Pontus is already going to be declaring war on us, right? Parthia is going to be declaring war on us, right? So we want to be the aggressor, right? Fight fire with fire when it comes to very hard difficulty. You can't sit around like you're normally able to do on like normal and like easy difficulty, right? And even hard a bit, right? You need to be aggressive because you basically have to have the mentality on very difficulty that everyone is your enemy, because they will attack you like instantly, no matter what. That's just what they're programmed to do on this difficulty level, right? Diplomacy is just not a thing on very hard difficulty. So that's why they're C tier. You're going to attack by everyone. Really tough early game. You can get punished easily. Units to start off with militia hoplites, it's just tricky because the morale sucks. So that's why they're C tier. Got to spam militia cav and your utilized generals pretty much. But yeah, Carthage, it's an A tier for me, just because you're going up against the Romans early on, and like I said before, kind of going off of Macedon a bit, it's easy to kill Romans in the early game. I mean, you saw my campaign with them on this channel. I took out the Bruti in like 4 turns, something crazy like that. Like, it was insane. Like, you're able to get Syracuse on the first turn too. And again, this is me. I realize that, right? But your average player should still be able to handle Rome relatively easily, and march on and take the Italian peninsula very quickly with Carthage. You have elephants, which you can do voodoo elephants, right? You can basically use them as a spy for like a guaranteed 100% spy for wooden walls, which is crazy, right? And your bodyguards are good, and your round shield cav is good, right? It's just a decent cav unit to start off in the early game, right? And you can just spam the cav. You can you start off with some slingers that are really good in terms of like their missile attack. Utilize those a lot, right? And you have powerhouse cities. You start off with Carthage and Lilybaeum, right? These are really good economically rich settlements that, you know, once you get settlements like Syracuse, right? Like Capua, right? You're just going to be stacking, right? It's just going to scale really well with your Mediterranean trade. You're going to be swimming in money very quickly. And it's quite funny because both of these are an A tier, right? I think the human-controlled player has the advantage, of course, obviously. Whether it's Scipii or Carthage. Carthage is easy to take out Carthage. Oh my god, holy shit. Scipii is easy to take out Carthage as a human player. Carthage is easily able to take out Scipii as a human player, right? It goes both ways. They don't have very strong units, right, in the early game. So that's why you can kind of utilize your cav and that hit and run tactic to, you know, get economically stable, and then you can just bust out elephants and bust out pony infantry and they don't have archers. That's why it's not something like an S tier, right? This faction, this faction had archers. I would definitely put it at S tier, but that's why it's only A tier, in my opinion, just because archers make your campaign and make your life so much easier. But relatively easy early game. Okay, so now we have Parthia. And you have a problem with this, I would encourage you to play this faction and only recruit horse archers and come back to me. I enthrall you to do that. It's the most OP unit in the game, and you get it at stables with Parthia. So, yeah. All right, moving on. Pontus. I'm putting them at B tier. It's a phalanx faction, but you only get it at city barracks. You have pajama people to start off, which sucks. But you have really good cav. You have the militia cav, then you have Pontic heavy cav coming up on cav stables. So pretty decent early game roster. Their geography and like wealth is questionable. What really sucks is, like I mentioned it very hard, everyone's going to declare war on you. So Armenia is literally going to, on very hard difficulty, declare war on you and just like walk over to your capital like every single time in like the first 3 turns. So it's inevitable that, you know, Armenia is going to be an asshole to you no matter what. So you have to be very aggressive yourself, and you have to basically go and attack Armenia, take them out early, right? And then you can kind of focus on the Seleucid Empire and then make your way down south over to Egypt, right? Because you ideally want to take out Egypt as soon as possible, right? That's kind of the goal of Pontus early on, but you kind of have to get sidetracked by Armenia, by Parthia eventually wants to take out Armenia just because they're going to attack you, right? Even Scythia will attack you by the time you get Armenia as well. So it's going to be really annoying to deal with. You get sidetracked a lot. It's difficult to try to get city barracks early on and get those phalanx pikemen out. Also, it is like the least superior phalanx pikemen. It's only 160 soldiers, whereas like any other like Thrace, Macedon, and Seleucid Empire have a 240 unit phalanx pikeman, which is interesting. But I mean, it has archers, right? It has really good cav, like I mentioned, militia cav and Pontic heavy cav. It's just a really good versatile faction. It's just going to be a bit punishing for newer players that are, you know, getting exposed to very difficulty for like the first time playing this faction. But once you take it through, you know, a couple of run throughs, you figure out really what the good game plan is in the early game, you're going to be fine. This faction has a lot of versatility. Eastern Generals is probably one of the most OP units in the game. I think it's probably the best general in the game because it has really good stats and it has, you know, the pillow as well. So very, very good general to utilize in the early game, right? They're very close to A tier, but just because of their annoying start, not really economically rich settlements, it's a bit tricky to navigate in the early game. So B tier in my opinion. Gaul, A tier. Easy. You're seeing a lot of factions that have to fight Rome in the early game are pretty high up, right? Macedon, Gaul, Carthage, all S and A. There's a reason for that. Like I mentioned before, it's Rome is easy to take out in the early game. In Gaul especially, you have Barb general bodyguards, which are very, very good. Their stats are really good in the early game. You can totally just cheese generals, to take out like full units, full armies of Astati, right? And Velites, because that's all Rome's going to have, right? You can really be aggressive with Patavium and Middlenium. And also, as Gaul, you just have a lot of settlements to start off, right? You can be really smart about how you manage your settlements, and you can grow them pretty quickly. You can take out Britannia early on. You can take out Germania. Germania is going to be a bit of a slog because they have probably the most annoying unit in terms of their spear warband that they're just going to spam. But you do have Archer Forest warband, which is a good unit. It's a 2-turn build, but it's definitely worth it, in my opinion, here at the archery range. You get also Noble Cav. Noble Cav is a really good unit. You get Barb Cav to start off. Serviceable, right? But ideally you want to try to get to Noble Cav really quickly, because Noble Cav it's combine that with your general bodyguards for the barbarians. I mean, you're going to be cooking, absolutely cooking. And your infantry is your infantry. They're just hold the line units, right? You get swordsmen and chosen swordsmen, just serviceable. But that's not the main focus of the faction. The main focus of the faction is their archer warband and their really good cav in the early game. You can destroy Rome with that early on. It's not too difficult of a faction to play in the early game, just because, if you know what you're doing, using your cav, you're going to be fine. And once you take out Rome, you're economically rich, and you don't have to worry about money at all once you take out the Italian peninsula. So that's why Gaul is easy S tier for me. Germania, or excuse me, A tier. Whoops. Germania is going to be an S tier. I mean, this unit roster is insane. They have an awful start in terms of like their economics. Like, they're not rich at all, but it doesn't matter when you get spear warband that has phalanx at your barracks. Like, their stats are insane, and they get 240 soldiers. What? Top that off with your noble cav, just the same as Gaul, right? Your cav stables, that's crazy. You still have barbarian general bodyguards, which is also crazy. Again, second, to Eastern generals, right? And you get Chosen Archer Warband, which is a 1-turn build. So you can just spam Chosen Archer Warband, spam Noble Cav, spam Spear Warband, and my god, that's an insane army. You can literally just march down to Rome very quickly with your Spear Warband and General Bodyguards alone. You don't even need Noble Cav or Chosen Archer Warband. Like, your early game is going to be so fucking easy. Like, there's a reason why you can blitz down to Rome so quickly with this faction, because it's ridiculous. You just got to watch out for morale with your Spear Warband, but other than that, just put him with a general that's solid, and you're good to go. You can take out Gaul easily. You can go down to Lubawum and then just go down and kill the Italian peninsula. I mean, that's what I recommend doing, just do a full-on blitz down to Rome as soon as possible, not really worry about anywhere else, just because you want to prioritize whenever you talk about very hard difficulty, getting rich settlements quickly. Germania is economically poor, so you want to utilize their early game strength with their roster and get down south as soon as possible, right? It's very hard not to do well with this faction, even for beginners. You have Spear Warband at barracks. If you suck with this faction on very hard difficulty, then a skill issue. All I gotta say there. Okay. Britannia is... they're C. I think geography-wise, they're fine. They're just really isolated. So there's not too much of an early game challenge per se. But it's just a really slow game as a result, right? You don't really have economically rich settlements. You're going to be doing okay-ish, right? But the main problem I have with this faction is their unit roster. It's just dog shit. First off, your general, right, is a chariot. And it cannot shoot any arrows, unlike Egypt. It's basically the worst version of Egypt, right? Of course, auto-resolve loves them, but we're not auto-resolving here. We are playing this faction. So your generals low-key kind of suck, and they're squishy jello bullshit units. And you can't really... I mean, if you're desperate, you can 1v1 like another general, but like your general just might die. And it's just a reality. Like, you have to accept within the first 5 seconds of the encounter. Like, it could happen. Also, no archers. They do have head hurlers. Head hurlers are fascinating. They are insanely good. Low range, effective against armor. And you have to get them through a temple. So, again, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It's very difficult to get these retrains off. And they're a really weird... They get punished by cavalry pretty frequently. But they're still going to win a battle against cavalry, even if they charge you, just because head hurlers are an insane unit. It's very... I definitely want to do a campaign on them because I haven't played them in a while, to be completely honest with you. But the biggest gripe I have is they have no cavalry. They just are unable to recruit cavalry. Straight up. You can't even recruit Barb Cav. Noble Cav, Gothic Cav, nothing. Nothing. So, yeah, your armies are just going to be like swordsmen, chosen swordsmen, and like head hurlers and your chariot generals, which can't do a missile attack. It's one of the worst. I think it's the worst unit roster in the game, just because of that. It still gets C because you're in a very easy start positionally in terms of you're not going to get challenged, right? That's why they're not D, but it's very close to D. I'm very tempted to put Britannia at D, but they leave at C. Tell me what you think there about this faction. It's something that I might want to revisit later on once I play them, but yeah, I'll put Britannia at C for now. Armenia. Yeah. Dacia, we're going to go A tier with Dacia just because you get archers turn 1. No other faction does archer turn 1. You get practice ranges, and then boom, archers with Dacia. Because that's fair. That's balanced, right? You also get chosen archer ribbon at archery ranges, which is even a better unit. But yeah, I mean, you just want to spam archers. It's just what you do as Dacia. It's good. You get a Falconsman and Militia Barracks. You get Chosen Swordsman City Barracks. It's your infantry, you know, same as any Barb faction, to be honest. But again, you just recruit 8 archers, put swordsmen in front of them. You're not going to lose a battle. And what's also pretty good about Dacia, right, is you're pretty close to Greece, right? All you got to do as a normal player, go down south, and bang, now you just are role-playing as Macedon. That's literally what you do as Dacia. Not difficult at all to pull off. Does take some practice in the early game, but again, you have Barb generals, right? You're going to be fine. You're going up against Greek generals, right? You're going to be killing Thrace and Macedon, who have awful general bodyguards. Combine that with your archers that you can get early on. Just be aggressive with Dacia, guys. That's all it really is. I don't know why people don't like this faction. Like, have you ever fucking played Dacia? Jesus Christ. Archers turn 1? Are you fucking kidding me? And you're putting this as like one of the hardest factions to play as and very hard difficulty? No, fuck off. Fuck off. This faction's so easy, you get archers turn 1. Archers just make your life easier in every facet. Like I said, golden combo. You always want to shoot for it in a single player campaign. How quickly can I get a frontline infantry unit behind archers? Makes your life so much easier. So yeah, A tier for Dacia. I mean, the exception to that rule is, you know, these guys, but I digress. Okay, Greek cities, S tier. And was there ever a doubt, guys? Was there ever a doubt that Greek cities was going to be S tier? I mean, I think in terms of its cost efficiency wise, they have the best militia barracks unit in the game. You get hoplites and militia barracks. That's crazy. That's crazy. It is insanely overpowered. Insanely overpowered. On top of that, you get city barracks, and then boom, you get armored hoplites, which is over a 20 defense unit. And it's phalanx. What? And you get militia cav. Like, people say, oh yeah, you know, Greece has really weak cav. No, it doesn't. And you just spam militia cav, you're gonna be fine. People, for some reason, don't like militia cav. I don't understand it. It's cost effective. You can retrain it basically anywhere. It's out of stables. It's no desert cavalry like Egypt, right? But you can be really annoying with militia cav. Utilize militia cav in the early game, right? It's a great unit. Top that up, you get archers quickly. You start off with a Spartan hoplite unit. You can kill Macedon really quickly, the same way that Macedon can kill Greek cities really quickly. And just, I mean, human advantage, guys. And then all of a sudden you're facing the Romans. What's also really cool and why I love Greece is because their starting settlements are kind of everywhere, right? You start off in like Sicily. You can take Sicily really early on. You start off majority of Greece, right? You have roads, right? You can get the island of Crete pretty quickly. And you start off with the Asia Minor, right? So you can be really aggressive on like 3 different like regions of the map all at once, which is so cool. And a massive bonus to the Greece cities, right? So, again, insane faction. Their only weakness, of course, is their general bodyguard isn't good. It's the worst one in the game. Maybe second to Britannia. But yeah, I mean, it's Greek general bodyguard. You don't really need it when you have Spartan hoplites and militia barracks. So yeah, S tier, easy. Numidia. It's a tricky faction to play, right? You will get absolutely punished if you don't know what you're doing with Numidia. I'm not gonna lie. On very hard difficulty, you get poor relatively quickly if you are not aggressive, right? And when I mean aggressive, I mean not only taking out Carthage early on, every person should be able to do that, no problem, right? You should be able to get a fuck ton of militia cav and just march on to Carthage. That isn't very difficult to do as Numidia, right? But you're still going to be missing a lot of pacing and a lot of money if you just focus on Carthage. You also have a settlement called Scythia, folks. And you want to go ahead and just start off with Scythia, go right to Thebes. For one reason alone, Thebes has a practice range. That makes this viable to go ahead and take Thebes to start off and just spam archers because you get archers at a practice range for Numidia. Once you get Thebes and you start spamming archers, you can take on Egypt, no fucking problem. But those first couple battles, right, taking out Carthage and taking out Thebes with a really bare bones army is difficult, right? And if you're playing it for the first time, you're gonna lose battles, right? It's just gonna be something you have to be, you know, trying to adjust and get better at. But once you kind of get those initial battles away with and kind of you win those, the rest of the campaign is going to be a breeze. You get militia barracks with desert infantrymen, right? That's a great frontline unit just to put right in front of your archers, right? Spearmen, you can also use them in cities with sieges to kill general bodyguards. It's a really useful unit there because it gets a bonus to cavalry. And your Carthaginian generals are no slack either, right? It's a good unit to use in the early game. You might have to 1v1 some Egyptian chariot generals here and there, which is always very spicy to do. But sacrifices got to be made to try to get past those first couple battles and get Thebes and get a hold in the Nile. So once you take out the Nile, I mean, think about the pacing here. You're basically taking out Egypt and Rome at the same time. That's insane. That's the only faction that can do that, guys. As early as Numidia can, right? So once you do that, you get Rome and you take out Egypt. I mean, you're absolutely cooking. You are just going to have a cakewalk for the rest of the campaign, right? Only other problem you might run into is, you know, Greek cities. They're always annoying to face, right? But again, you're going to have archers and desert infantry, and you can just chill. So, but again, very punishing for the new player, the normal player on very hard difficulty. Scythia. Yeah, I mean, it's the best faction in the game. It's so easy to play, guys. You get horse archers and barracks. I don't even care what the fuck else the rest of their faction can recruit. I don't care. That should be the only unit that you're ever recruiting, ever. Have one infantry for, you know, the battering ram or the siege tower, whatever the fuck it is. The rest should be just horse archers. At barracks, that's just unfair. And also, I will point out, the barracks horse archers is better than the stables horse archers for both Armenia and Parthia, because that makes sense. It just has additional defense. Because, yeah, why not make up a unit that you can recruit at barracks that's already overpowered, even more powerful? Because, you know, I think that's logical, right? Yeah, holy shit, guys. And you can retrain this basically fucking in any settlement. Any goddamn settlement, you retrain your horse archers that you just lost. And you just spam these everywhere. They're not, like, debilitating in terms of, like, your population either, because it's only 108. You're not recruiting, like, 240 people every single turn, right, out of your settlements. So it's just, like, and you just march down to Greece early on, and it's just the easiest campaign of all time. Yeah. Easy enough. Spain. You have been noticing that there is nothing in D tier. That's because it is reserved for Spain. Spain, I think, is the hardest faction to play as very hard just because of no archers and their economically poor position. And you get attacked by Rome, like, really early on, too, at Osca. You really just got to use your barbed general bodyguards to just, like, cheese battles, man. Like, some of the battles I had to face in the early game with Spain against both, like, Gaul and the Julii were just not fun in the slightest. You just basically recruit round shield cav and your general bodyguards and just go to town. It's not fun at all. Militia barracks, you get Iberian infantry, which are awful. Awful. Never recruit that unit ever. You get Scuderari at city barracks, or the Hall of Heroes in the case of Spain. And it's a good unit as, like, a front line. It's got the Pilla, which is good. People are like, oh my gosh, what about the Bull Warriors? Bull Warriors are so good. No, the Bull Warriors fucking suck. Okay? For a number of reasons. First off, you need your Sacred Circle, right? So it's only going to be recruitable and retrainable in your settlements, right? So if you lose some in a battle, you're fucked. You're not getting those retrained, right? Yes, they have 2 hit points. They're also a 2-turn build. So that basically means you're comparing already 1 Bull Warrior to 2 units of Scuderari, right? And also, you have a Temple of Spain that can increase experience, right? And if you decide to go with the temple that gets Bull Warriors, you can't get the experience temple with your Bull Warriors. You can't get them retrained in like a city that has that experience bonus because you can't recruit Bull Warriors. So basically, you're comparing Bull Warriors experience 0 to Scuderari experience 3, and one's a 2-turn build, one's a 1-turn build. You pick, motherfucker. Scuderari is still very mid, though. You have no archers. You have fucking slingers on an archery range because that makes sense. And you're just going to be spamming round shield along shield cav. And combine that with your general bodyguard, you maybe have some Scuderari, but it's just not fun, guys. You're really in an economically poor situation to start off. You can get mines up relatively quickly and get rich, but you just need to be aggressive with them, and you need to just start going east as soon as possible. And you can't really recruit biremes. You're not going to be that rich, like I mentioned, so you can't really, speed it up alongside the coast. Also, the Julii are going to be, on the coast as well with their navy invading Osca. It's just not fun at all. Your battles suck. It's just going to be hammer and anvil with your cavalry the whole fucking campaign. Early game, mid game, and late game. It's exhausting. It's mentally draining to play. It's the hardest one for a normal player on very hard difficulty. That's just my opinion. Lastly, I'm going to go with Thrace here is A tier. I just did a live stream on these folks. Pretty chill, pretty easy to play. You can basically role play as Macedon after the first 3 turns by taking all their cities very quickly. Which is exactly what I did. You can get Founding Spikeman pretty early on by taking out Thessalonica and getting the city barrack right away. You do have to deal with Scythia early on, which is why it's somewhat difficult. You don't really have the units in the early game to take out Scythia. That is going to be kind of annoying, and you kind of have to be really cautious and kind of fight them, you know, here and there, pick your battles, right? But when you can roleplay Macedon early on, I mean, it's going to be a good faction. It's phalanx pikemen, it's archers that you can get at the archer range. It's just easy, right? You have falxmen at militia barracks. You don't recruit it. Militia hoplites at barracks. Don't worry about it. Just focus, because you can get phalanx pikemen early on. This is a fine faction. You get militia cav too, which is always good in the early game, right? Utilize that a lot when you kill factions like Greek cities and Macedon, because of course the weakness of the phalanx pikemen or any phalanx unit in general, right, is going to be cavalry charges or, you know, missile attack on the side or behind them, right? So use your militia cav and kill out Macedon, Greece, and you can march on Rome pretty quickly, right? Because you're in a great spot economically once you take out Greece. Kind of similar to Dacia, right? Very similar to Dacia there. Dacia has the advantage of getting the archers turn 1, whereas Thrace just gets phalanx pikemen. So they take your pick. I think they work pretty similarly as factions, Dacia and Thrace. So that's why I think they're both A tier there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this dogshit tier list and why I am wrong and should go suck a dick. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this awful video. As always, don't subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.